All right, it says I'm live here, and I'm wearing my yellow shirt because I knew there was a yellow wall. And so we're getting started with our final workshop for this year's season. In the summertime, we take a break from workshops, but it gives us an opportunity to do some other things. And the first thing coming up is the Fiddle Club Dance, which is an annual event. This is our 28th Fiddle Club Dance. Can you believe it? Wow. And a big goal of the Fiddle Club Dance is to get people an opportunity to play this Scottish music for dancing in a setting it's actually kind of low risk. Even if you haven't played dance music before, we usually have enough participants that
I've got a screen behind you.
Oh, sure. That's Amy. Thank you, Amy, for hosting.
Oh, and I am getting to let the desk that's upstairs. So if anybody's looking for a computer desk with a nice hutch, just
all right. So anyway, what was I saying? I was saying that our Fiddle Club Dance is an opportunity to play in a low-risk setting. There are enough musicians that nobody attending is required to play every single tune. So if some of them are too busy, too fussy, in a key that's not easy for you, or whatever, you don't have to play every tune. The other thing that we do is we regularly reuse alternate tunes. The way Scottish country dances work is that they have an official title tune. Sometimes that's very much necessary to play that tune because the dancers all recognize it. And if you don't use that tune, they would say, wait a minute, that's not right. But there are quite a few dances where you have some more leeway. No matter what the first tune is, the process is to cycle through a series of other tunes and eventually come back to that lead tune to up the dance. And so our dance parties are a way to learn how that's done. And also we reuse those alternate tunes frequently. So if you play more than one of these Fiddle Club dances, you'll very quickly recognize, oh, these tunes I already know because I did them last time. And so that really helps out with people getting more accustomed to the idea of how to play for dancing as opposed to how to learn a bunch of new tunes. So the focus is really on, what makes it dancey. So this workshop is called Dance Party because it's going to feature a few of the tunes that are actually on our dance program on May 30th, but more to the point, it's featuring different types of dance tunes that we might use as alternates either now or in the future. So several of these tunes in today's packet are in fact on the program, and then others are ones that we would like to use in the future. Okay, so I think as usual we like to start with a more accessible tune. And so Scottish country dance tunes come in 3 different categories from the dancer's perspective, which are jigs and reels, which are in quick time, and strathspeys, which are obviously in strathspey time. But a variety of tunes get used for these dance categories. So the first tune I'm going to teach you is actually a slow air that's used for a strathspey dance. So it's not a true strathspey, not at all. But instead, it's a tune that fits, pacing of a strathspey, and it's in, 4/4 time, which in dance terms ends up being effectively a slow 2. So let me play this for you. This is a traditional song, and I got this particular version of the song through Barbara McOwen, who has just she lives in Boston. She's been a source of a lot of material over the years to Fiddle Club. And her source for this was one of the old songbooks of Scottish songs. Let me play it for you. Oh, this tune does have a little bit of history for it. It's called I'm a Doon for Lack of Johnny. Which basically means, I'm feeling blue because Johnny's not here and I miss him. But it's an 18th century or maybe even earlier song. And who is it that wrote the Scottish fantasy piece for violin? Is that Brooke? There's a classical composer who wrote a Scottish fantasy featuring this tune, of course played in a very classical violin-y kind of way, but this is the source material for that classical piece. So let me play I'm All Doon for Lack of Johnny for you. So I wasn't necessarily playing it exactly as somebody would sing it, and I didn't, even though it is a slow air, I'm not really playing it slow air style because I could stretch out the highlight certain phrases and things like that more. Instead, I was trying to keep pacing at, in this case, it would be a slowish dance tempo. But it is in key of G, so let's find our G. Also, like a lot of tunes that are in vocal range, it doesn't go up here because most people have trouble reaching those notes. So in deference to singers, it's only a little more over an octave range from its lowest note to one note above an octave. So very singable. All right, so pickup note is D, and then it's G. So let's just get that. Good. And it does a lot of scale work. So the very beginning is going down the scale. Phrase. So starting on an F sharp, going up the scale, down by arpeggio notes, A, F sharp, D. All right, so far so good? Mm-hmm. All right, next phrase, again, we're back with the scales. So I'm going to add it because all it is adding. And in the song, that is Johnny. Johnny. There we go. Okay, so the last two bars put together is all scale work and then the Johnny at the end. right, so far so good. Let's put the phrase together. This is a 4-bar phrase with a repeat. It's the first half of this tune. Let's do it again. So far, so good? Yeah. All right, we're halfway there. Yay! It's always good to have a tune that comes more fluidly, let's call it. All right, the second part. Pickup note is still that same D. But I did promise we had a higher range, and we didn't get any higher than an A note, so the B part is where it happens. Up to the D note. All right, so far so good. Next part. Scale again. Yeah, so far so good. Next bit. If your E string is not in tune, now is a good time. Okay. Let me add what comes after this. So. Connecting it. All right. We have the B part, so I want to put that part together. Remember, this is where we're starting with the same pickup note, same G note, jump up to the D because we've got to get our higher notes in. Let me play the 4 bars for you to hear. Think about how you're going to play it. Let's all play that. Again. Okay, one last 4-bar segment. It starts the exact same way. So we still have the exactly the same. So let's go ahead and play that. Now the wrap up is really similar to the way the ending of the first part was. The only difference is at this point in the first part, you had just came down to a D, so your pickup notes were. Well, here you're not on the D. You're up here. So the pickup notes are D and E. And it's a slightly fancier. So let's find our pickup notes. In the A part, it just went. Here we're doing. It accomplishes the same thing, but with more frills, I guess you could say. And Johnny at the end. Let's do that a few times. Scale down from A. Do you want a little more time with that one, or shall we connect it to the 4-bar phrase? A few more of that. Okay. And again. And let me connect it with the rest of the phrase. The repeated notes. And then here it is. It's all that. Again, of that. I'm going to do the entire B part so that you don't forget how the first phrase finished off. Let me play it for you. Goes up high. And then the phrase we just did. So let's do the entire B part. Maybe we should now do the entire tune. How did we start? Who remembers?
D.
D. Yes, very good. And D to
G.
G. Yeah, and then what was it? A scale? A scale going down. That's the first phrase that repeats, and then we go into our B part of two similar but not the same phrases. Okay, let's do the whole thing. Okay, that's sounding really nice. It's also a little too slow for dancing. It's perfectly fine for a song version or just a play alone as an air. Although we have been keeping tempo, which if we were playing as an air or even as a song, we might not necessarily be strict about the pace, right? We may leave a little room for the singer to breathe. But for dancing, it needs to be about the speed of a dancing strathspey. So just to remind you of a dancing strathspey. See how it's a little more pushing forward with the tempo. Right, you can't just relax and, yeah, well, this is so nice. You can't do that for an air played as a dance tune. So if you want to make it as a dance tune, you have to keep that tempo in mind as if it's a real strathspey. This is not musically a strathspey, but it's used for strathspey dancing, so you have to provide a little bit of that propulsion that a genuine strathspey music would provide. So this will be a little more forceful, as well as a little bit faster. And I'll sort of give a dance tempo cue. Ready, and. want to go what? Yeah, what's your question?
Like as a Strasbourg for dance, would you put in ornaments?
Yes. Right, and when I played it at first, I did more ornamentation. Things like that. Now, I can do more vocal style ornaments if I want. That's going to get a little softer and more flowing. Or I can do other style of ornaments, a little more dancey or poppy style. You hear how that's more punctuated, right? So it depends what dance we're playing for. What are the movements of the dance? So that's one thing about playing for dancing, is that once you get to the point where you are comfortable enough with the music, look at the dancers. See what they're doing, because how you play it specifically is attuned to what they're doing on the dance floor. So, if they're jumping up, well, you try to make the music support jumping up. If they're trying to stretch out and go far, you try to make the music convey stretch out, go far. If they are have a lot of time to go almost nowhere, well, you can't be playing music that's doing. They're going to be trying to go overshoot. They're going to overshoot where they need to go. So if they don't have very far to go, and they have plenty of time, you have to play. You see how I'm not pushing them too much, right? Because they're not going very far. The accompaniment, on the other hand, has to be pretty steady. It marks the footsteps of the dancers. So it doesn't change as much. And hopefully we'll get to see some of this in action. But it's a key element of dance music. The ultimate goal is to support the dancing. So while you might not always play these tunes for dancing, if you have played them for dancing, you can draw on that in any performance. So I just hold that the experience of playing for dancing with Scottish music often gets you in the right headspace for what these tunes are about. The tunes, the jig reels and strathspeys, historically were often played for dance. And therefore, if you play it with some dance elements, no matter whether you're playing it at dancing speed or for actual dancers or not, it gives it a little bit of this sort of authenticity and context that I just find really, really, really useful. So, I have a question here. From the chat. So Connie's asking, how many times would you play this tune through for a typical dance? A typical Scottish country dance is 32 bars of music for one time through the dance.
Okay.
So how many bars are in this air? Did anybody count? Okay, I'm hearing lots of guesses. So our first phrase, which we repeated. How many bars of music was that? 4. Yes, that is accurate. So if we repeat that, that's 8. Now, we only played the second part of the tune once. Why? It was twice as long, so it by itself is 8 bars. So if we play 4 bars repeated, that's 8, plus an 8-bar phrase, we get a total of 16. So how many times do we play the tune to get through one round of dance? Twice. Right, so this is kind of a rule of thumb that that tunes like this are going to get played twice. You know, if they have an 8-bar phrase plus an 8-bar phrase, or in this case, you know, 4 bars repeated equals 8, then that's going to be needing to be played twice through to get the 32 bars for the purpose of the dance. This is a good thing because if we had to keep counting to 3 times through, it's actually hard to do that. Because when you're playing for a dance, you've got a lot of things going on, and it's easy to say, aha, this is the first time I'm playing the tune. And then it's easy to say, I know I've played it before. But you see the problem, right? If we're supposed to play it 3 times through or 4 times through, you're saying for the second, third, and fourth time, I've played this before. Oops, I've lost count. Is this the 3rd time, or is it the 2nd, or is it actually the 4th? So wise musicians who play for dancing arrange the music so it doesn't have that kind of pitfall in it. So if it's going to be more than twice, then you do something to remind yourself specifically about how to, you know, get through 3 times without getting confused.
Like maybe in the middle, like, because they ate some reel, for example, like the reel to be done 3 times through the middle part of the dance. And one way to do it is to pick a variation or of some sort and do that in the middle round.
Right, you do a variation. One of my simple tricks is to play it in its regular range, then play it either low or play it high in the middle, and then go back to the regular range for the 3rd time through, if I have to play it 3 times. And another trick is to have more than one person in the band take the lead. So it's my turn, their turn, my turn again. Okay, done. But if you're just playing it twice, it's usually pretty easy to keep track because it's new and then already done it. And so with practice, you can develop a pretty good sense of the time. So that is covering a whole lot of mechanics of playing for dancing as well as just learning a tune. Do you want to play it one more time? Yeah. So let's try to give it a dance feel. And so the dancers need to be cued in musically or by like a dance leader. So I'll be the dance leader in this case and just give one of their standard ones used in Scottish country dance circles is for the dance leader to say ready and that paces that space between the ready and gives you the beats of the bar. Ready and there we go, 1 round of the dance with I'm all dune for lack of Johnny. Okay, would you like another tune?
No.
Ah, okay, that's good. I'm gonna give you one that's more challenging, but I want to go through it in some detail because once again, it's making use of our friends, the arpeggio and the scale. It's in the key of D, and it's the Strathspey. Now this one's a true Strathspey, not a slow air being played for a Strathspey dance, but it would be played at about the same pace, except that air had a lot fewer notes. So this one, much busier tune. Don't be afraid, it's mostly scales. Let me play it for you. Well, I'll tell you the title after I've played it. Okay. So that Strathspey is called Céad Militant, Tim Wilson. Céad Militant means 100,000 thanks. So it's a typical Gaelic phrase. There's a Céad Mille Fáilte, 100,000 welcomes. Céad Militant, 100,000 thanks. And technically, if you're thanking somebody, their name is in the vocative case, which gets aspirated, which is deep into the Gaelic grammar. But it would change his name to be Tim Wilson, which nobody would recognize. So we just said, oh, this is for English speakers, so we're going to throw that grammatical rule out the window in the title, and not worry about it. So it's 100,000 thanks, Tim Wilson, and I can tell you the story about this tune in some detail because I wrote it. It was commissioned, and I've been writing tunes for many years, and a few of them have kind of gotten out there, but it's only more recent times that I've started feeling like, okay, I can offer to write a tune on commission, because before, years ago, I would get occasional tunes. And I couldn't tell when they were going to come along. But I've gotten to the point as a composer where I feel like, okay, I could probably write a tune. So this was, I offered to write a tune for somebody on commission as an auction item for fundraiser for the Midwest Scottish Dance Weekend. And there was a dancer there who is named Neil Sterling, and he was a relatively new dancer, and when Tim Wilson, who's a well-known Scottish dance teacher and dance deviser, came to the Midwest Scottish Weekend and taught, Neil was a new dancer. And he just thought that Tim was so supportive and so helpful and so fun that he wanted to do something to, honor Tim. So he not only bid on the auction item for me to compose the tune, he also bid on an auction item for Sue Kennel to compose the dance. So there's a dance that goes specifically with this tune, and not to get too deep into it, the dance makes use of a dancing figure or motion that Tim Wilson invented, and it refers to Tim in a number of different ways. And then musically, I wanted to convey all of the things that Neil talked about, that Tim is a fun teacher and a fun dancer, that he's got a sense of humor, and he's got depth because, you know, he's got this creative mind that invented this new figure, which is actually kind of complex but really fun to do. So I wanted a tune that was complex but fun. And so I got a chance to play it for Tim. He was on the dance floor, and I just told him when it was going to come up, and then watched how he responded to it. And I was like, yes, I got it. It's a good match. So this dance is going to be on our dance program, our Fiddle Club dance program. It's been catching on since Sue put it out. It's in a book. Some of the famous Scottish dance teachers have started teaching it, and lots of people like Tim Wilson or like his dances, so there's a lot of interest, and so it's kind of fun that I got to be part of it. But let's learn the tune. It's in the key of D, and like I said, arpeggios and scales, big part of the tune. So technically no pickup note, but for any dance tune, if you need a pickup note, you make one. So we're just going to call A our note. Okay, but we don't really need it right now. So the beginning of the tune. Next bit. First measure put together. Okay, we need next thing. That one's not parallel. And next phrase, scale. So the second bar. Two bars put together from the beginning, and let's do that again. One more. So far, decent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The third one it goes. No, what's that other?
Okay, so first one, A to D. Second one, G to B. The third one is an E to A, but that goes to scales. Does that answer the question there? Okay, let's just play it again so you have a chance to put that to work. Yeah. Okay, we're coming up the scale. The very next thing is continuing up the scale. Returning to G. And followed by arpeggio, F sharp. F sharp, A, D, F sharp. Measure put together. practice? Okay, let me give you bar 4. Bar 4 is all scales. So first it's scales in triplet time. We ended up on the F sharp, so we're just going to go to the G and then come down. Everybody wants to go to the A next, and that is in fact where we go. However, we're not continuing right on down because we're, yeah, if we went right on down, we'd get there a beat early. We don't want to do that. Yeah, so the scale is just straight down for the first 2 triplets, and then it goes back up. That's our, okay, now we just bought ourselves a little extra room. And then we have not a triplet, but a quadruplet. So the last half of that bar is triplet, quadruplet. With all the scales. Triplet, 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 quad. But it's all scales, right? So let's put our first 4-bar phrase together. And we've already played more notes that are in the entirety of the tune. I'm all due for lack of Johnny in 4 bars. But, you know, it's a stress bay with lots of notes in it. Okay, here we go.
Could you go over the transition from the last triplet to the quadruplet?
Bowing wise, here's my little trick, right? The triplets are going to be opposite direction because there's 3, right? Up bow, down bow. Now I have 4, so I slur the first 2, and then I even out the bowing. So that helps with the bowing. Does that help?
Yes.
Okay. Let's just play that last bar again with the triplets and the quad. Let's put it again in context from the beginning of the tune. Okay. Do you want to play that again, or shall we learn what's next?
Can we hear just what we have so far?
Yeah, you want me to ready? Okay. Okay. And I'll give an introductory note. Shall we? All of us? I'll give the introductory note again. Again. Okay, what does the next note have to be?
G, a D.
Yeah, D is a really good guess because we've been doing scales, right? And it would just be wrong if I went to some other note like C. Okay, so here's the next phrase. Second half of that bar. Okay, so bar 5 in this case. Bar 6. Make sure that C sharp is a good C sharp. Yeah, that's a better C sharp. Second half of that bar. All right, so bar 6 is. Okay, bars 5 and 6. 5 and 6. Again. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. Only 2 more bars to close out the phrase. And they are what's known as a sequence in musical terms, where you take the same, sort of shape of melody and bump it up the scale or down the scale. Sequence can also go down, but we just had next bar. So we just had, let's go ahead and play F sharp. Now do the same shape starting on a G note. And then starting on an A note. Okay, now we just need the last bar. So let's do our last 2 bars of the phrase, bar 7 and 8 of the tune, starting on the G. Again. Let's put it one more time. Let's put it in the context of the 4-bar phrase. So listen this time. That phrase. guys some practice. Here we go. And again. And again. Ready, go. Okay, let's do the 8-bar phrase. How did this tune begin? A and then G, G to B, yes. Let's try it. How is that? Yeah? Do you want more practice on it, or do you want to learn the next part and then we can come back to this? Next part? Okay. Next part. Okay, next part very much makes use of the scales. So we just finished on our pickup notes are going up the scale. Yeah, I repeated the D. So 3 pickup notes. Okay, and then here's what the phrase sounds like. So I'll say a little note about the bowing because I find it helps. Remember when we were doing the triplets, and I said slur 2 and then separate 2 for the quad. I like to do my quadruplets that way because it gives you a lot more potential to give them style. If I'm just doing, it's, you know, it sounds kind of like chop, chop, chop. You hear how I can kind of lean into the first note. So I'm slurring the first 2. Now, one of our snap rules is we like to do snaps down up because it's stronger and a better, just like a better, mechanically a better fit for the movement to do the short stroke, short power stroke down bow rather than up where you're kind of pushing against the weight of the bow. So I have a snap coming up. But because I did that slur, I'm up bow here. So I'm going to slur. So I'm set up for. So let's just do up bow. And if you're not playing a violin, you know, don't worry about the bowing. next phrase, again, it's a sequence down. All right, so that measure continues on, not exactly the same. Arpeggio there with a B, F sharp, and D. Up with its scale bit. Okay, so far so good. All right, bar 3 of the B part. We just did. Well, now we're going to do that same arpeggio again, and then change it. So same B and D notes, F sharp, and then with a G. Let's do those. So the reason for doing that is that you can get this cool bass line going with the chord changes. We need one more bar to finish out the 4-bar phrase. I'm sorry, it has a snap. I usually snap it. Bars 3 and 4 of this B part with the F sharp, with the G. Questions? Put together the 4-bar phrase. All right, the B part. Pickup notes are up the scale from D. 3 in a row, right? So let's listen to this round and think of how you're playing it. again. Good. All right. The next phrase is really similar ideas, but it's a little fancier. So instead of just doing, we're gonna do, it has the same effect. In fact, except for the beginning of it, it's the same bar. But it sounds quite different because, you know, it has two groups of quadruplet 16th notes. So, but it's scales. And again, notice I'm doing slurring two, separating two, so that I can give it that little bit of a style lilt. And it's attached to the very same end of the measure. So let's all try that. Just scales from high B. Yeah? Okay. Next bit is a sequence on that. Started on B, so the next bar starts on A. So that's the scale part. Let's do that. And the end of the bar is so that whole second measure of the last 4-bar phrase. So the two measures back to back. Starts with a high B. Let's give that a little practice. Yeah. Again. All right, more? We're almost at the end of the tune. Should we learn the end of the tune? Okay. So that's A to D, B to E, not back to the B. It goes back to a D because we're heading upward. So. And then the last one is C sharp to high A. So again, let's do it in parts. The first 4. A couple of times on that. The next one is this. That note is a D. C, B to E, but go back to a D note, C sharp to A. So let's put that together. Yeah, very nice. Okay, we should put this last 4-bar phrase together. The last 4-bar phrase, what did we start on? It was a big scale. It was the highest note, B, yes. Yeah, is that sounding familiar? And then on A. And then this sequence that we did at the end. So let's start with the high B. Ready, go! Again. Okay, that's the last 4 bars. So now we need to remember, what were the first 4 bars of the B part? We haven't put the whole B part together, right? Okay, right, a slur. Right, remember that had slurs in it, right? Now, I didn't do anything to connect that phrase to the next one, but here's what happens. So let's just do that connection. Let's just do the 4 notes. So we landed on a D at the end of the phrase, and then we do a gapped scale up. No G note. Yes. And we're all set for the high B. So now let's try playing our 4 bars at the beginning of the B part and connect them to the last 4 bars. 1, 2, 3. Gap scale. or at least we've had it. At parts of it at a time, but let's see if we can bring them together. The beginning of the tune. Is that sounding a bit familiar now? Do you want the next line? Okay. Sequence. Okay, I think we can connect it up now. Let's give it a try. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Well, of course, again, because all those notes, it's still just 16 bars. We have to play it twice to get through one round of the dance. So let's do that. Let's play it twice in a row for sure without stopping. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right.
I feel like the puzzle pieces came apart and flew around together. And some of them ended up not quite in right. But they'll come.
All right. Well, do you want to play it a bit more, because that was a little slow for dancing. So maybe we can put a few rounds through, and I can just very gradually, almost without you noticing, like the frog in the pot of hot water. No, that's a terrible image. But I'm a big fan of getting your speed up to, appropriate tempos by starting slow at a manageable pace, and then very gradually changing the pace. So let's try it a few times through, and I will start to push the tempo up a bit. That's about the limit for today. You did just learn that tune, so congratulations. That's Ed Mill Hank, 100,000. Thanks, Tim Wilson. So, more by ear. No, yes, no,
Yeah.
yes.
Maybe something easier.
Something easy by ear. Let's see what I got
Yeah,
here.
there you go.
Okay.
Compromise.
I could give you a jig that's moderately easy, or I could give you another air. What would you like?
Jig?
A jig? Okay. So this jig, again, the focus today is dance music, which means that It's used for a jig dance, but dance music can be used for a dance that's a jig, not necessarily have its origins as a jig. So the origin of this tune is as a 6/8 pipe march, but it was arranged many, many, many years ago by Barbara McOwen as an alternate tune in one of her dance sets as a jig. So this originally a 4-part pipe march, which I brought along, and there it is. So it's from a pipe collection called the Edcalf collection, and so the pipey version of this, I will play it for you as well as the jig version. Let me give you the jig version first. The tune is called Lord Macpherson of Dromachter, and it's by a guy named Angus Graham.
What key is it?
And it's in B minor. Now, if you ask pipers what key anything is in, well, they don't use key signature in pipe music because they don't play half steps. They just play the notes that are on the chanter. So everything in pipe music is written as if it's in the key of A mixolydian, A with only 2 sharps, no G sharp.
So we don't even write the sharps.
Right, so it's just assumed. So no pipe music has no key signature in it.
So if you're looking at a pipe collection and you want to play it, add 2 sharps.
You have to
Otherwise, it's going to sound really weird.
Right, you have to add
Very
the 2
minor.
sharps or it'll just be wacky. But this is effectively in B minor because it's centered around B. Let me play it for you as a jig. As a jig. Now, just so that you get a taste of how it is as oh, I don't know if this question from Connie is how many times would you play it through for one time through the dance? I don't know what she means. If it was, I didn't catch whether that was with reference to the Strathspey we just did or this one. So I'll answer it both. For the Strathspey, it would be play it twice through for one round of the dance. For this jig, the Lord Macpherson of Dromachter, what I just played was a 32-bar, 2-part version. The pipe march is 4 parts and would be 64 bars played all the way through. Let me just give you the taste of the pipe version. Snappy rhythms in it. This is more pretty, right? And it helps people mark the pace of marching, but it's less useful for a Scottish country dance, which people kind of get a little stiffer than they need to be for Scottish country dancing if you play with that degree of dottedness. So Barbara's version has relaxed a lot of the snappy parts. So let's learn this tune. It's in B minor, which is essentially the key of D, but starting on the note B. So let's just play ourselves a B minor scale. G natural. So that's essentially close to the range we're using. Pickup note is F sharp. Just find that F sharp and find your B note. All right, so here's how it starts. tune, so I'm gonna plow through it a little faster. We just bar 1 with the pickup note. Now we're gonna go to F sharp down by arpeggio, which is find 3 notes: F sharp, D, B, right, and with a little style to it, little lilting style. That's half the second bar. The second half of the second bar is a scale with the C is sharp. So here's bar 2, arpeggio, scale. All right, so far we have this. Phrase. We're going to use it many times in the course of this tune. So let's now play it with the pickup note. Good. Okay. Next, A. Stuff in the key of A. A arpeggio, which has E, C sharp, and A. Find those 3 notes. Okay, let's give it some style. The second half of the third bar is a figure that basically is an ornament that you are obliged to use because it's written in as if it's a melody note. But what the tune does, that's its essence. So let's find those notes. I was showing you where you're aiming for because it has an ornament that you must do. It's written in. So find that C sharp note. Okay. I gave you the last wrong note. Bad me. Okay, it's... Sorry about that. Okay. We need one more bar to complete our 4-bar phrase, and it's, luckily for us, just a scale. Start at F sharp, go down. Bars 3 and 4. now have our 4-bar phrase. From the beginning, what was the pivot note? Well, A would work. Which one did we actually use?
F sharp.
Yes! Very good choice. That was intended to be a demonstration and an aid to your memory. Did everybody catch that, or were we too concerned with trying to play it to listen? Shall I play it for you? Okay. So F sharp, it starts out with arpeggio, scale, then an A, scale. Let's play all now together. So far, so good. Next phrase starts the same way. So that's exactly the same. Let's just play it. So we need a new ending to learn. Find that. They're all in the A arpeggio. C sharp, low A, high A. And then a gap scale. So putting that together, it is this. C sharp, low A, high A, gap scale, onto B. Okay, so our second phrase of the A part. Let's do that. Again. All right, we have the A part. 8 bars. Little refresher on how it goes. Let's do it. I think we'll need more practice on that, but given that this is our third ear tune, let's go ahead and move on to the B part. So we're just here on the B note. We're going to be temporarily in the key of D. So that phrase, 2 pickup notes, and D, E. All right, and here's the first bar of the B part. Wow, you mastered that fast. Of course, if you have repeated notes, it's easier to do that, right? Here's what's next. So with the pickup note, those 2 bars sounds like this. Okay. Next bit. This will sound somewhat familiar. Okay, not too bad. The next 2 bars are the same as the first 2 bars of the B part. So it's again. And the next 2 bars that close out the 8-bar phrase, same as the phrase ending on the A part. You'll find this is true for a lot of tunes that are pipe marches. And in this case, pipe march in origin, even if we're not playing it particularly as a march, is that they are often fairly regularly structured. Like there's kind of a phrase ending that's kind of the cool thing about the tune. You know, that's probably what the composer got in their mind is like, oh wow, that's a great way to end the phrase. And then they incorporate that, so that keeps coming back. So we're going to have over and over again in this tune to wrap up phrases in all of the parts of the pipe march. If we were playing all 4 parts, guess what? They all end with that. Since we're just doing 2 parts, well, we get to use it every 8 bars. So now let's put together our 8-bar phrase of the B part. Let me play it for you so you get and think about how you're going to be playing this. We really only had 4 bars of new stuff. And even some of that new stuff was kind of similar. 1, 2, ready. Let's do it again. also a common form from 6/8 pipe marches, where the first part will just be 8 bars with a direct repeat. Second part will be 8 bar phrases, but with an extended slight difference for the second. So it starts the second 8 bar phrase, just like the other. We had all the same. And then we're borrowing the 4 bars from the A part. So there's literally nothing new. We have just, collected bits from a couple different places and put them together so that we have a different ending, borrowed from the A part. So our last 8 bars that ended the A part. So let's do that 8 bars. Let's do it again. Remember the second phrase. Listen to this as I show. This phrase is the one that people are mushing around on. It's an arpeggio and then a scale.
And what note does the arpeggio start on?
E. And then up to the high A, and then scale from F sharp. Let's just do those 2 bars to refresh on them. Yeah. Okay, now let's attach it to that again. Okay. The first time we repeat that key phrase of the B part and put our ending on. And then the second time through, four bars taken from the A part to end this B. So let's see if we can do 16 bars of the B. Ready, and... Okay, pushing on through, we're going to put the whole tune together. There is literally nothing in the A part that you didn't just play, because we had... That's how the tune starts. So you just have to remember the bit where it goes, the ornament that you have to do, and then it's okay from the beginning. whole tune. Okay, I know everybody's going to remember that for a long time. But it seems like that's maybe enough ear learning. Yeah, okay. Anyone who wants to play along, go ahead. But the dance tempo would be ready and... Okay, so close enough, right? For now. All right, let's go ahead and hand out some sheet music, right? And so I have two separate things here. Okay. So, take a little stack from here, 4 pages, 30, 31, 32, 33. And then there's more, because this is our end of season, and so I have book covers with index, like the table of contents by page number, as well as the alphabetical, so you can look them up. And then we have our new feature, standard feature is what workshop was about, in which pages of the book it pertains to. So you'll get, in this case, 3 pages double-sided. So make sure that you collect all the pieces here. And then this goes with all the other music you've received throughout the year to make your complete book 33. While that music's handing around, I'll babble about upcoming things. So not only is there the Fiddle Club dance, May 30th, and if anyone knows any dancers, I brought some flyers for our dance party. Yes. And if any of you know serious dancers, I have the dance instructions here. Okay. And then if you know some really hardcore geek dancers, I have the dances in diagrams. Anybody use diagrams? Okay. Okay, very good. All right. I also have flyers that may be less pertinent strictly to Fiddle Club, but there are 2 other dance parties coming up. There's the Baltimore Scottish Dancers are having their in-class party on Monday, May 25th, and then the Harrisburg, Pennsylvania Scottish Dancers are having their party that was formerly always billed as the 12th night party. Well, they got snowed out a little too many times, and so now it's the Scottish solstice.
Solstice, there you go.
Yes, so it's June 20th.
180 solstice.
Right. So those who are interested, I've got flyers for all of these. You want more flyers?
Yeah, one more flyers like the instructions and all that stuff.
I have instructions, more instructions. So it looks like Sydney got them already.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you like a flyer though?
No, I'll keep a flyer.
Okay.
I'll take a temporary set. I'll print my own later.
Okay.
Oh, and no, for the music.
Oh, I don't have the sheet music here.
Oh, no, I mean, okay.
Oh, for this music, it's
to make you swear.
it's out there somewhere.
I
Pete.
thought I had missed it.
It didn't come back to me yet. Oh wait, Pete, here is the index came back to me.
Okay.
Did everybody get an index? Did everybody get the 4 sheets of music? Because
Yeah, I've got the 4 sheets of music. Got
Yeah.
the index.
Oh yeah, here Pete, I do have them.
Okay.
They did come back. It was confused. I was confused.
May I have an index?
Yes. Here are the index pages.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Does everybody have what they need with the music?
Yeah.
Okay. So besides these dance parties that are in May and June, and of course our Fiddle Club dance party invites people to come dancing because we may outnumber the dancers if you don't bring dancers in. Sometimes our band is bigger. Pete is going to send the information about the rehearsals basically right away. As soon as he clears the web page of stuff pertaining to today's workshop, he's going to make this front and center on the Fiddle Club web page so that you can access the sets of music and know where to go for rehearsals.
Now, I'll probably send the rehearsal info via email, so that's not up on the public site. And I'll send a reminder email
And you'll
as
also,
we approach each of the.
okay, and you're also going to include a link for the sheet music in that email, right?
And the sheet music is currently available at the download section of the website.
Oh, okay.
And unlike most of our music, which is through the little book thing that you have to print, this one's just a PDF. Make
Right.
it easier on everybody, just print it.
Right. It's meant for anybody who is either definitely participating in the band, or if you just want to learn this music. It doesn't oblige you to play in the band.
It is already up in the download section, as well as the dance instructions and dance flyer are up in the in that section, and then the dance flyer is going to go on the front page soon, and then I'll start sending out emails regarding the rehearsals
Right.
and their addresses, which I have to look up because Becky sent me the posts but not the addresses. But they have all hosted Fiddle Club
Right.
meetings this year, so I should be able to
Right.
find it.
So basically the information is all already at the website. It's just not on the very front page
Well, it's not-
at the moment.
Yeah, well, the rehearsals are not there. The rehearsals
Yeah.
are not there. Announced. But those
Yeah.
are going in an email, depending on how long any jam that may or may not occur tonight happens, may go out tonight.
Okay. So that's good. So keep that in mind, and I hope everybody will participate, or if you don't want to play, you can volunteer to help out at the dance, because we need people to set things up, help at the door, coordinate the refreshments, and clean up. The next big Fiddle Club thing is the Virginia Scottish Games, which is Labor Day weekend. This is our big outreach time, and so the more participation we get there, the better. We have, a good venue with the fiddle tent at the games, that over the years we have developed to be basically the place to be for acoustic music at the festival. And so Fiddle Club will be performing. We'll get you details in good time about exactly what we're performing. The sets are always drawn from this year's book of music, so you already have all of the tunes. And I'll issue a set list no later than July. And then I will also do rehearsal videos because I think people have found them useful. And there will be rehearsal times.
Usually in August.
Yeah, usually in August. I might do a pre-rehearsal in July. This year I have a longer than usual trip to Canada. I'm always in Cape Breton around that time, and this time we have to hit a residency requirement of 30 days. So I'm gonna be away for both part
So
of
this
July
is
and part of August.
July now. So.
Yeah.
The Virginia Games is
Virginia
second-
Games is the Labor
second-
Day weekend.
Yeah, Labor Day weekend, and it's not like first couple of days. It's like the 5th or 6th. something
Yeah, I
like
have a calendar
that. It's a
somewhere.
little bit. Yeah.
I
It's
could
like,
actually tell you the dates, but yeah. I'll give you the actual dates. Labor Day weekend is September 5th and 6th, and usually the Fiddle Club is performing on the 5th,
Saturday, typically
Mm-hmm.
around.
around midday.
Yeah.
So we'll get the exact schedule. We'll let you know. We'll let you know when the rehearsals are and where they are. We'll be looking for rehearsal hosts. So if you don't want to drive to a rehearsal, volunteer to host one.
Also, this
And-
year, the Lone Piper Fiddle Club will have a brand new custom Fiddle Club logo banner on his
Ooh.
bagpipes. So
Wow.
to the music director, if she wants to show it off, she should arrange sets that allow us to have that banner flying high.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get some good pipe numbers somewhere in our program. So stay tuned for all of that. And then, of course, our 34th year. Oh, geez, we've been going a long time. We'll start in October. But we're really getting up there. I've been keeping track of how many tunes we've learned. It's a lot. I mean, we
hit 2,000 a couple of years ago.
yeah, we hit 2,000 a few years ago, so we're I believe past 2,500. And although there are a few repeats, they're usually different versions. And so we've really learned a lot of tunes through Fiddle Club. And on that note, I'll just say that I have also been working really diligently on digital versions of all of the Fiddle Club books. And basically I've caught up. I have digitized every version of the book, every book. However, the ones that I originally made as digital versions, as opposed to going back and taking paper versions and
Right.
making them digital, those I have to make sure that they conform with the standards of formatting that I set up as I started doing the complete digital works. But eventually we'll get it so that you can have a digital version of all of these books. We'll make it available in the usual way. These are not books that we can sell commercially because they're for educational purposes. But Fiddle Club members will have access to the archive. Okay, let's now play everything. So we do have other dance tunes besides the ones that I taught you by ear. And quite a few of these are relevant to dances on our program. And now I can't remember where I put those flyers. Did the flyers go? Did somebody have the flyers? Or did I put them back? I put them back in the bag. Yeah. So I just wanted to look at the flyer and see. Yeah, so on page 30, Jean Martin of Aberdeen, this is the title tune for one of the dances on our program. Let me play it for you. I actually met the Jean Martin who's referred to. She's a Scottish country dance teacher, tutor, and adjudicator, which means that she was one of the panel of judges that came around when I was getting my dance teaching certificate. So she was one of my judges. All right, so let's try playing this tune. fiddle players. This tune was written by a pianist, by the way. An excellent pianist, but pianists don't necessarily think about awkward fingerings on the fiddle. So bar 4 of the 3rd line, you know, you have... Boy, is that an awkward interval. So I don't mind if you play... Put a B note in instead of the D note. Nobody will notice, I promise. Well,
Another
maybe...
option would be to do a low 4.
Yeah. It's still awkward.
It's a little awkward.
Yeah. So I just fake it. I actually think it sounds good that way. But don't tell Muriel that I'm butchering her tune, okay? Yes, I am fiddleifying the tune.
Let the pianist handle the 7 in that.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. All right. Pianist does the tritone.
Great.
All right. So let's play that same tune again. I have it labeled as March. All right, a lot of people would say, oh, this is definitely a Strathspey. Look at all those dots and steps. What makes it a march in my mind is the phrase ending. I have heard that kind of phrase ending in so many pipe marches that to me it's a characteristic phrase ending of pipe marches, which other than the fact that they are not as intense as Strathspeys, they look a lot like Strathspeys, they have dots and steps. But they have these certain phrase endings that are really like march signatures. So I've labeled it as a march. Although people might, have a difference of opinion on that. We'll skip over Tim Wilson, because we learned that. And now we'll do the air in F. Liz Donaldson wrote this tune, and it's the signature tune for a dance called Something in the Air that was written by Pam Stevens. That's become quite popular. And then when Liz wrote it, it didn't really have a name, so it was just air, and it was in the key of F. And then we actually recorded it, and I said, Liz, what's the real name of this tune? And she said, I want it to be air in F. Like Bach wrote airs in F and things like that. So she just wanted to go with that feel. So that's its official name. Let me play it for you. I can't get started right. Let me do it now. So that one has a built-in how to play it twice through for dancing, because it has different endings for the first 16 bars than the second 16 bars. Okay, let's play it. 1 and 2. If you have not played classical music, I just want to point out what the first and second endings mean. Everything under the bracket with the number 1 is for the first time through. Then there's a repeat sign. It means go back to the very beginning. And when you get to that point where the first bracket starts, skip it and go to the second bracket on the second time through. So that's just a standard way of notating, so that we don't have to write the whole tune out again just to have a second ending. But I wanted to point that out because for the most part I try to avoid using first and second endings in fiddle club music because it's a little clearer. So unless it, extends it ridiculously, I frequently write out first and second endings without using the bracket system. Let's take a look at Lord of Boyne, and then I'm gonna have something to say about dance music and these slow airs. Let me play this one for you. It's from the Gower Repository. Okay, let's play it. 1 and 2. And then you all remember, I'm all doomed for lack of Johnny. I wanted to point out some of the differences. These 3 are all airs that are used for Scottish country dance strathspeys. Not a single one of them is strathspey. But you probably noticed in Lord of Boyne that there's some dots indicating that you don't just play this straight. Particular in the B part. It's just an indication that actually this is Scottish music and we don't play anything completely, just series of eighth notes. In Scottish music, it's natural to put in. And in the music there, it's. We're probably never going to play it straight, except as a wild exception. Because those rhythms are natural to Scottish speech patterns. It's what people hear. If they're just walking around and living in Scotland, they're going to hear da 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 dum da dum da da. Those rhythms are just there. And so, if it's a song tune, it's going to have some of those rhythms. Just like there's a snap there, right? It's a relaxed one, but it's not just going to be. That's not Scottish enough. So. I'm putting in the dots and snaps, just almost without thinking. In fact, it's so hard for me to play these things straight up written with no dots and snaps. If I try to play it that way, it doesn't sound natural. So it's a style thing. So it's no wonder that the marches, strathspeys, and even the airs all take on this dot and snap type of rhythms. So the thing, when playing as a group, you have to agree somehow, but honestly, it doesn't matter that much if somebody reverses the snap or dot rhythm. It's not going to kill the tune. In fact, it's going to sound authentic. Did we play Lord of Boyne enough? Did we even play it together? Yeah. Okay. So maybe we should go on. All right. On page 32. Oh, there's a story for this one. Let me see if I can find. It's Maria's Delight. It was written for Maria Adams, who is a local dancer. And let me see what Maria actually said about it. Let me find the little thread. Oh, Maria Ward. I'm sorry. She used to be Adams, but she's been Ward for many years now, so I gotta.
What's the date there? 26415?
Oh, I should get rid of that. It's just recent. It's 2026. Yeah, the year 6000. No.
Is that our calendar or the orange calendar?
Yeah. Anyway, okay, so here's what Maria said. She requested a tune to go with a dance that was written for her by another local dancer named Thomas Iwasawa. So she says, a few years ago I complained to Thomas that, number one, there's never enough chocolate. Number two, I wanted a new jig. So Thomas devised a jig called Never Enough Chocolate. And then the tune came about because Maria was traveling in Shetland, and she actually contacted me from Shetland and said, would you like me to go into the music shop here and pick up some Shetland music? And I, of course, said, absolutely, yes. And she said, what do you want? I basically told her, well, anything. And she brought me a bunch of things. And so I told her I wanted to thank her by giving her a tune, and she said, well, I need a tune to go with this dance that Thomas wrote. So I wrote Maria's Delight, because there's never enough chocolate, the name of the dance. So let's and that is on our dance program, by the way. And Maria's all excited about it, and apparently Thomas is too. So we've got local connections, and it should be fun. Okay, let me play it for you. So, just to tell you a little bit of what the composer was thinking, since I have in that. Never enough chocolate. There are never enough jigs in the key of E. And this chocolate dance is very exciting. And so E is just such an excited key. That's why. So let's go ahead and give it a go. Anybody want to play it fast? No, not right now. Okay, let's move on. So the next, Mr. Dyak's Measure. Michael Dyack was one of the founders of the Royal Scottish Country Dance Society back in its, which was more than 100 years ago. Did you know that? So, he was one of the music arrangers early on as well. And so for the 100th anniversary of this founding of the society, somebody said, well, there really ought to be, a book of dances and music for this man, because the two more famous founders of the Scottish Country Dance Society, Miss Jean Milligan and Isabel Stewart of Fasnacloich. What a great name. And the two of them have had many dances and even whole books of dances and music in their honor, and he had been ignored. So they just said, well, we've got to bring him back into the picture. So George Meikle, who is a I think pianist. Boy, somebody's going to correct me and say, no, he actually plays. But anyway, he's a wonderful musician, and he does a lot of arrangements of dance tunes and composes dance tunes. And he wrote this tune for a dance that's in that book that commemorates Michael Diak's key role in the Scottish Country Dance Society. So that's a reel in sort of a modern style in that it has internal repeats to be 32 bars long. And I'll also say it was not written on a fiddle, since it has a few fingerings that are a bit awkward for fiddle. But, you know, the Fiddle Club is not just for fiddles, despite the name. So I'm sure somebody out there playing a keyboard instrument or an accordion, you know, is going to say, wow, this is a great key. And the fingerings are not at all awkward on my instrument. So let's take it slow. speed is actually faster than that still. We had this dance on our program last year, but we did not have this tune in Fiddle Club yet, so I thought, well, you know, we might do that dance again sometime, so we ought to have its proper tune, especially since it's a good one. All right, on the last page, page 33, we already learned Lord Macpherson of Dramachter. Miss Isabella Reed's reel is for the dance Pluto's Head, which is on our dance program. And I'll tell you the story about the dance Pluto's Head. It's called Pluto's Head because you're familiar with the Disney character, the dog Pluto? Right. So the deviser of the dance is Sue McKinnell. And Sue, I guess she was might have been at Disney World or something. In any case, somewhere that she was, they were having a little workshop in how to draw Pluto's head, and they're like, well, draw 2 circles and now draw an oval, and she got this idea because she thinks in terms of how dancers move and the patterns they make. She's just got great vision as far as dance devising, and she said that would make a great dance. so this dance has in it these sort of diagonal things and a couple of circles and some linear things. So it it makes, in her mind at least, these figures sort of together the basic outline of Pluto, the dog.
We'll have to dance it sometime in the basement balcony.
Yeah, see if you can see it. Right. Anyway, the official title tune is this Miss Isabella Reed's reel, and I wanted to include it because it's a completely different type of, both Miss Diag and Miss Isabella Reed are fast-moving, busy reels in terms of, being full of eighth notes. Very different character, because Mr. Diag has internal repeats, 32 bars long, it's punctuated by bump, bump, bump at the end of phrase. This is an older style of reel, 16 bars long. All the 18th century reels were 16 bars long in Scotland. So let me play it for you so you can get a feel of how it sounds and how it moves. So just the way it moves is a really different feel, and the way it fits with the dance where it's played twice through has a different feel than the ones where there's like a first half and a second half in the course of the 32 bars. So this is gives a different feel to the phrasing. All right, let's try it. We are not going to be using this tune in our Fiddle Club dance because I didn't figure that learning to play a B-flat reel up to speed in a few weeks was entirely fair. Okay, here we go. Okay, I have at least one sure. Here we go. Okay, now one more thing, just style-wise, I am operating under the principle there in that tune that burls are an ornament, so they can be substituted with a quarter note at any time. Likewise, any quarter note can be substituted with a burl. And anything in reels where you have, those are ornaments. They're built-in ornaments, so you're allowed to skip them. Your choice. And as you wish. You have options. So a lot of things about printed music are, you know, they're like a snapshot of one time through. And if you play it more than one time through, you're going to decorate the tune in different ways. And that's not at all unusual. It's part of Scottish tradition and has been for centuries. Okay, do we want to like whisk through our ear tunes before we wrap up? Oh, yes. No. Okay, I guess we're done. I tried to convince them. For those of you online, you can do it at your own pace. All right, well that's it for book 32, and I hope to see a bunch of you at the dance and a bunch of you at the festival, and otherwise next workshop October 2026. All right, bye.
Oh, Peter? Yes. Yeah. So let Elke get her, her stuff out of the way. Elke's kind of surrounded in a
Well, yeah, I can find
swamp of tech at the moment.
Yeah, let's
Yes.
go upstairs real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wait, no, I got something. Fiddle to there.
I'm trying to figure out how to shut it off. Oh, there it is, the button. They moved the button. All right, there we go.